When my wife told me she was pregnant, I couldn't hold back my tears. We'd been praying for a child for 3 years. We immediately started planning a big wedding, informed our families, and prepared the baby room. But a month after the wedding, the phone call I received at the hospital changed everything. My name is Michael Stevens. I'm 34 years old, and I work as a project manager at a software company in Atlanta. Sarah and I have been engaged for 2 years, and our plan was to have a quiet wedding next spring. Until that Tuesday evening, when I came home to find her crying in the kitchen. "Sarah, what's wrong?" I asked, and she turned to me. She was holding a pregnancy test, and it was positive. "Michael," she said, her voice trembling, "I'm pregnant." In that moment, I felt the world stop. For 3 years, we'd experienced disappointment every month. Doctors couldn't find anything wrong with Sarah, or with me either. They just kept saying, "Be a little more patient." And finally, it had happened. I hugged Sarah, and we were both crying. "I'm going to be a dad," I kept repeating. "I'm really going to be a dad." That night, we didn't sleep at all. We talked about baby names, planned which room would be the nursery, thought about how to tell our families. Sarah kept stroking her belly, whispering, "Hello, little baby." The next day, first thing, we made an appointment at Dr. Patricia Williams' clinic. Sarah talked about pregnancy symptoms, morning sickness, fatigue, sensitive smells. Everything seemed so natural. "Let's have a big wedding," Sarah said suddenly. "I mean, we were going to get married anyway. Why are we waiting? Let's become husband and wife before our baby is born." This made sense. Actually, I didn't want to postpone the wedding. We were just planning to keep it small because of expenses. But now everything was different. We were going to be a perfect family with our baby. "You're right," I said. "You deserve the most beautiful wedding." Sarah's eyes lit up. "Really? Can we have a big wedding?" "Of course. We'll find the money somehow. This will be the most important day of our lives." The next week, we started planning the wedding. Sarah had seen Riverside Manor. It had a capacity for 200 people, and the view was magnificent. The price was magnificent, too, $25,000. But Sarah was so excited I couldn't say no. "How happy we'll be with our baby," she said with teary eyes. "In our wedding photos, I'll be wearing a maternity wedding dress." How romantic. I used my credit cards, emptied our savings, even borrowed money from my family. Sarah's family also contributed, but most of the expenses fell to me. It didn't matter. For my love, for our baby, I was ready to do anything. At our second appointment with Dr. Williams, Sarah was 6 weeks pregnant. Watching the ultrasound, my heart was about to burst. A tiny dot, but it was our baby. "Everything looks normal," the doctor said. "At your next checkup, we might be able to hear the heartbeat." Sarah was squeezing my hand. "Did you hear that, Michael? We're going to hear our baby's heartbeat." 3 weeks before the wedding, everything was ready. Invitations had been sent. The dinner menu was set. The band was arranged. Sarah bought a maternity dress, a cream-colored dress that started right under the chest and beautifully showed her belly. "I'm 9 weeks now," she said the night before the wedding. "My belly has even popped out a little, can you see?" There really was a slight bump. I put my hand on her belly. "Hello, baby," I whispered. "Daddy's here." The wedding day was perfect. Sarah was so beautiful, and I looked sharp too. During our vows, Sarah looked into my eyes with tears and whispered, "We're going to be a perfect family with our baby." While cutting the cake, Sarah told the guests this isn't just our wedding. It's also our baby's celebration. Everyone applauded and congratulated us. My mother-in-law was crying, shouting, "Finally a grandchild." A week after we returned from our honeymoon, Sarah had her regular doctor's appointment. She was 11 weeks now. "I'll be waiting for you," I said while driving to work. "I want to see our baby's latest photos." "Of course, honey. Dr. Williams will also let us listen to the heartbeat today." But at noon, Sarah called crying. "Michael," she said, her voice hoarse, "you need to come to the doctor's. Right now." My heart stopped. "What happened? Is the baby okay?" "Please come. Just come." I rushed to Westside Medical Center at the speed of light. Sarah was sitting in the waiting room, crying. I ran and sat next to her. "What happened, Sarah? How's our baby?" She raised her head. Her eyes were swollen from crying. "Michael, we lost our baby." The world collapsed on me. "What do you mean we lost it? How is that possible? Everything was fine last night. The doctor says sometimes it happens in the first trimester. The heartbeat stopped. I had a miscarriage." I hugged her with my arms. We were both crying. The baby we dreamed about for 3 months, the tiny clothes we bought, the baby room we started painting, everything had vanished in an instant. "I'm sorry," she whispered in my ear. "I'm so sorry for disappointing you. Why are you apologizing? This isn't your fault. It's nobody's fault." Dr. Williams called us into the room. She gave Sarah some instructions, said she needed a rest, and we made a follow-up appointment for a week later. The next few weeks were very difficult. Sarah fell into depression, and I threw myself into work. Our friends and family tried to be supportive, but nothing could ease our pain. "Maybe this was a sign," Sarah said one evening lying in bed. "Maybe we weren't ready yet." "We were ready," I said firmly. "The timing just wasn't right. We'll try again." But something was strange. After Sarah's miscarriage, her physical symptoms disappeared very quickly. Morning sickness, fatigue, sensitivity to smells, they all vanished suddenly. Also, someone who had miscarriage would normally continue bleeding heavily for weeks. But Sarah had only mentioned light bleeding for a few days. At our follow-up appointment with Dr. Williams, I asked about these issues. "Doctor, is it normal for her to recover this quickly after miscarriage?" "Every woman is different, Mr. Stevens. Some recover faster." But there was something in the doctor's eyes, as if she wasn't telling me the whole truth. That night when I got home, Sarah was taking a shower. While looking through her purse, I wanted to see the doctor's reports, but couldn't find them. What was strange was that Sarah normally kept all medical documents in an organized file. While going through the drawers in the bedroom, I found something odd. In the bottom drawer, hidden among her underwear, was a small box. Inside were pregnancy tests, but these weren't the positive tests she'd shown me. These were unused tests. And there was an open medication box. When I read the label, I froze. "Progesterone support mimics pregnancy symptoms." I just stood there holding that box. My brain was trying to process this information. Progesterone, a hormone that could mimic pregnancy symptoms. Morning sickness, fatigue, weight gain, breast tenderness. All symptoms could be artificially created. I heard the shower stop. I quickly put everything back and went downstairs. But my mind was in chaos. Had Sarah been faking pregnancy symptoms with medication? But what about the ultrasound image? What about the positive test? That night, I couldn't sleep at all. While Sarah slept peacefully next to me, I stared at the ceiling thinking, maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe those medications were for something else. The next day at work, I couldn't concentrate. I called Westside Medical Center and said I wanted to speak with Dr. Williams. "I'm sorry, Mr. Stevens, but due to patient privacy, I can't share your wife's information with you." But I was at those appointments too. I'm the father. Being present at those appointments doesn't automatically give you access to information. This seemed strange. She never said anything like this before. In fact, she'd made explanations addressing me too. During lunch break, I called a lab where Sarah had her test done. Maybe I could get more information there. "Peterson Laboratories, how can I help you?" "Hello, my wife Sarah Stevens had a pregnancy test done with you last month. Can I get the results?" "Let me check." Sarah Stevens. "I'm sorry, sir. We have no test records under this name in the last 6 months." I hung up the phone. My hands were shaking. Sarah hadn't had a test done at Peterson Laboratories. What about the ultrasound then? What about the doctor's appointments? That evening I told Sarah I wanted to go to the doctor. "Why? Are you okay?" "I've been having stomach problems due to stress lately. I want to see Dr. Williams." "Oh, she's just an obstetrician, honey. You should go to an internal medicine doctor." "I know, but she's like our family doctor now. Can you make an appointment?" I saw a momentary look of panic on Sarah's face. "Actually, we're not that close to Dr. Williams. Maybe it would be better if we found a new doctor." This was very strange. A week ago, she was saying, Dr. Williams is so understanding. I love her so much. Why, Sarah? Is there a problem? No, it's just the miscarriage topic is still very fresh. I get sad every time I see that doctor. It seemed like a reasonable explanation, but the suspicion inside me was growing. The next day, after Sarah went to work, I went to Westside Medical Center. I told the receptionist I wanted to see Dr. Williams. I'm sorry, Dr. Williams only sees patients by appointment. I have an appointment too. Michael Stevens. The receptionist checked her computer. Sir, we have no appointment record under your name. Also, Dr. Williams doesn't have any male patients. But I came here with my wife, Sarah Stevens, for pregnancy checkups. The staff member checked again. We don't have a patient record for Sarah Stevens either, sir. I felt like I'd fallen into ice water. How is that not possible? We came here 3 times. We had ultrasounds done. Maybe you're confusing it with another clinic. Or maybe your wife hasn't changed her last name. We tried all the options. Sarah Wilson, Sarah Thompson, Sarah Johnson, none of them were in the records. I left the clinic and sat in my car. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. Sarah had never come to this clinic. What about the ultrasound pictures then? What about the positive pregnancy tests? I decided to go home and investigate everything. I found Sarah's ultrasound photos. I examined them carefully. The name on them said S. Johnson. The date also didn't match the dates we'd talked about. I searched the internet. I typed fake ultrasound photos. My heart stopped. Dozens of websites were selling fake ultrasound photos. For $20 to $50, you could write any name and date you wanted. Then I researched pregnancy tests. There were dozens of ways to get a positive result. Fertility drugs, someone else's urine, even hot water could sometimes give false positives. But the biggest shock was something different I found. A combination of progesterone and HCG hormone could perfectly mimic pregnancy symptoms. It could even make a fake belly grow. Sarah had been deceiving me for 3 months. She had never been pregnant. That night when Sarah came home, I was sitting at the table waiting. In front of me were the fake ultrasound photos, the progesterone box, and all the documents I'd researched. Sarah, we need to talk. She froze at the door. When she saw the documents on the table, her face went white. Michael, I can explain. You were never pregnant for 3 months. You planned everything. Fake tests, fake symptoms, fake miscarriage. She sat down and started crying. But this time they weren't real tears. This time they were tears of being caught. Why, Sarah? Why did you do such a thing? Because you wouldn't have had a big wedding otherwise. You always said, we should save money. We should be practical. And I wanted the wedding of my dreams. So you made up this lie for a $25,000 wedding? It wasn't just a wedding, she shouted. Everyone around me had gotten married. I wanted to have my big day too. The pregnancy excuse was perfect because it gave us a logical reason to hurry. I couldn't wrap my head around it. What about afterwards? How were you going to explain us not getting pregnant constantly? I was going to say there was a problem at the doctor's, that we could no longer get pregnant. That way it would have been over. At that moment, I realized I had never known her. The woman I had been with for 5 years was such a calculating, cold-blooded manipulator. Our marriage is over, Sarah. No. Michael, listen. Think about the good times we had together. We were so happy. It was happiness built on lies. You never loved me. You just used me. Sarah stood up. If you're worried about money, I'll tell my family. They'll pay for the wedding expenses. This isn't about money, Sarah. This is about trust. You deceived me for 3 months. You watched me cry for a fake baby. That night, Sarah left the house. She probably went to her family's. I started gathering documents too. I was going to find a divorce lawyer. But first I had to do one more thing. Justice had to be served. The next day I emailed all the guests. I regretfully want to inform you that Sarah and I had decided to divorce. Our marriage was built on deception and manipulation. We will return the wedding gifts and monetary contributions. Sarah called at noon, screaming at the top of her lungs. How could you send that email? My family, my friends, everyone read it. They had a right to know the truth. What truth? It would have been enough to just say we were getting divorced. The truth about the fake pregnancy. The truth that you had a $25,000 wedding by lying. Michael, please, take back that email. Delete it from social media. We can fix everything. It's too late, Sarah. The divorce process took 6 months. Sarah's lawyer demanded half of the wedding expenses from me, but my lawyer presented the fake pregnancy documents to the court. The judge decided that Sarah should pay all the wedding expenses. Also, Sarah was given a penalty to pay material and moral compensation according to civil law, a total of $15,000. The most satisfying part was Sarah's social circle's reaction. The fake pregnancy story spread quickly. Her friends turned their backs on her. Some family members stopped talking to her. Sarah called 3 times trying to apologize. Michael, please don't tell people the truth. My social life is ruined. My emotional life was ruined for 3 months, too. I mourned the death of a baby that never existed. A year later, Sarah left the city. I heard she had moved to another state, tried to build a new life there. I built a new life, too. 6 months later, I met Emma. She had also gone through a difficult divorce in the past and understood trust issues. Have you ever wanted children? She asked one day. Yes, I said. I still do, but this time with a real wife. Emma smiled. Maybe someday we'll have real baby photos. Today, Emma and I have been together for 2 years. I'm slowly learning to trust again. And yes, we're planning to get married next year. This time a small, intimate wedding. Most importantly, a marriage built on real love. As for Sarah, sometimes I feel sorry for her. Her big wedding dream had come true, but the price had been too heavy. She had destroyed her own happiness with her own hands. But in the end, everyone bears a responsibility for their choices. Sarah had chosen manipulation and lies. I had chosen truth and justice. And here's the most beautiful part of the story. Emma is really pregnant. This time, real tests, real doctor, real baby. In 3 months, I'm going to be a father. This time for real,